am Erin Gruich. I'm the founder of Sensational Path. I am a mom of two boys, Luca and Joshua. I am an occupational therapist, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about sensory processing. So I recently discovered that I had a greater purpose, that my purpose was to be able to share my knowledge of sensory integration and sensory processing, and my life as an OT and my life as a mom. They kind of all meld together, and then my coaching melds in with that too. So I have like I said, I have two boys, and one of them is pretty sensitive. So that's kind of the reason that I'm on here sharing, because as a mom and an occupational therapist, this hits close to home, right? I have a boy who's very sensitive. He just reacts differently, okay? And I know that I'm not the only parent who has a kid like this. In fact, I work with a lot of children like this. And actually, I work with children who have really severe cases of sensory sensitivities. And so I wanted to share with you what that looks like and how I can help, okay? We have 7 senses. You know, in school, we all learn that we have 5 senses: our sense of touch, hearing, smell, taste, and sight, okay? But we also have 2 more. We have our movement senses. So our vestibular sense, it's a big word, but it really means like our body, where our body is in space, our body awareness, okay? And we have our vestibular sense, which tells us if we're moving or staying still. It tells us the position of our head in space, if we're upside down or not, okay? So those are our 7 senses. Now, how sensory processing works is that's our body making sense of all the things going on in our environment. It's our body and our brain making sense of what's happening in our body. Okay, so I have a really cool way of explaining this. I'm grabbing these because there's a child who has autism who explained sensory processing in a really cool way that made it really easy to understand. So he said that we all have cups. Okay, so you might have a big cup. I love this one, joy is in the journey. Or you might have a little cup, okay? So I'll start with the little cup. If you have a little cup, okay, it doesn't take very much sensory input to fill it up. Okay, so you can pour in your touch or your sight or your movement, okay, noises, and it's not going to take very much for that cup to overflow. Okay, this would be if you are sensitive. Make sense? Yeah. If you have a big cup, it takes a lot of input to fill that cup up, okay? And these are the kids that are often like movement seekers. They can't sit still in class, can't sit still at the dinner table because they're trying to fill their cup with movement. Hi, Allie, thanks for joining. Okay, so if you have a big cup, you tend to be hyporeactive, meaning it takes more input to get a response out of you. And you might look like a sensory seeker in order to counteract that, okay? So to fill your cup up, you're going to seek out more input, okay? If you have a little cup, it doesn't take very much to fill your cup. You are hyper-reactive, okay? And you tend to be avoider, okay? So maybe you don't like being touched. Maybe you don't like loud noises. Okay, these are the kids that I want to talk about today because, well, both are important. This is my son, okay? He's got a little cup for sounds, for noises, right? Okay, so here you go. You've got this chart. This is your arousal levels from low to high. Okay, arousal, some people don't like that word. Some people prefer alertness. Okay, and this is just your day. Okay, what happens in your day. So we want to have this optimal level of arousal, okay? So you and I, we want to get up and we want to just smoothly sail through our day like so, okay? What happens though is as different events happen, these are ups and downs, you and I, we go through our day and we recover quite nicely. Something happens, we're able to come back. We stay within this band of optimal arousal, okay? What happens with our kids who are more sensitive, they maybe start in this range and then something happens and then they recover. Then something else happens and they recover. And something else happens and they can't recover, okay? So this is high level of arousal. This is our fight, fright, flight state. So more things happen, they can't respond, they can't recover. That's when we see tears, tantrums, meltdowns, okay? We see them curling up in a ball, hiding out because they can't deal with all this information that's going on. There's other kids who start their day up here in this high arousal, okay? And they just, how do teachers do this? They just stay up here and, you know, they have problems sleeping, they can't sit at mealtime, they don't like putting their clothes on. Totally makes sense, right? Okay, so they're up here, they're in this fight or flight stage all the time. Just can't deal with everyday life. There's anxiety that goes here, there's avoidance, okay, social things that happen, dressing, it interferes with everyday activities, okay? So what we want to do for kids like this, that are in this high arousal, or for kids who become defensive, we want to help them get back in here. We want to start their day in this optimal level of arousal, and we want them to be able to recover from these events that happen. Okay? Makes sense? Totally makes sense, right? There's other kids who are down in this low level and they need to up it so that they can be in this optimal level too, but we'll talk about that another day. So what do we do? How do we bring them back down? How do we calm these kids down so that they're not so sensitive? And there are some general strategies that I'm going to give you, but really every child is different. And so it's important that you find out what your child's needs are so that you can meet their needs, not just, there's no blanket answer that's going to help every kid. But I do have a few things that might be helpful for now until you find out more, right? So we always say, when in doubt, use heavy work. Okay, so heavy work is that proprioception, that big word that I talked about at the beginning. That's the things that are going to calm us down. So remember I said you could be like, calm down, or it's no big deal, but that's like approaching from a cognitive point of view, and we want to actually use the back of our brain to help calm us down. Okay, we want to help self-regulate. Okay, that's a big term that's being thrown around right now, but it's important. We need to be able to attain and maintain changes in our arousal. Okay, so if we have that increase in our level of arousal, we want to be able to bring it down or recover from that. So heavy work really helps with that, and that's push-pull activities. So you all know that I like to work out. Well, kids can use this workout equipment, okay? Resistance bands are heavy work because it's push-pull activities on your muscles. So that activity is proprioceptive activity, and it helps send information to our brain that helps us calm down. The nice thing about heavy work is it actually can work if we're on the low end of that arousal chart. So if we're down here, we can use heavy work and it's going to increase our arousal. If we're up here, It's going to decrease our arousal. Hey, Megan just joined. So yeah, heavy work works for both, right? It's kind of like when you're tired in the morning and you do a workout, it gives you energy. And if you have too much energy and you do a workout, it calms you down, right? Or if you're stressed out and you do a workout, it calms you down. That's what heavy work is doing. It's helping get you in that just right zone, okay? So that's where we want to be throughout our day. We want to be in a just right zone. So heavy work is awesome. Deep pressure. If you saw my post the other day, me squishing my kids, I wasn't beating them up, and they're not here right now, so I can't show you, but I put them between two cushions and we played a hot dog game. So one cushion here, child in the middle, and another cushion on top, and I squished them. So that's deep pressure, and that's calming too. So light pressure touch is alerting, that's ticklish, and for kids who are sensitive, it's too alerting. But deep pressure is calming. So, you know, when you go for a massage, that's calming, that's deep pressure. So big squeezes, give yourself a big squeeze right now, and then give me a heart if that feels good. Okay, deep bear hugs, hot dog squishing, weighted blankets or weights that you can put on your lap kind of help to calm down too. Pushing against the wall. Hot dog method, love it. Hot dog's good, or pizza is another fun one. Or my coworker said the other day, she used, she tells her kids that she's rolling out their wrinkles, and I really like this one. So you get the kid to lie down and you take a big therapy ball and you roll it on top of them and you roll out the wrinkles, and they'll be like, oh, there's still wrinkles in my hands. And so you roll the wrinkles out of their hands, and they're like, oh, there's still wrinkles in my toes. And you roll the wrinkles out of their toes, and it's fun and it helps to calm them down. If your kid, so my kid, I said, is sensitive to having his hair washed. So before we wash his hair, we can be like, okay, let's just see if we need to wash this hair. And you can be using that deep pressure touch on their head to help calm them down. If you need to cut their toenails and they don't like that, or their fingernails, you can be like, let's see. Yeah, we need to cut your fingernails. So you're giving that squeeze to their finger, and that actually helps to calm them down. Going to the hairdresser, squishing their hair first or their head first is going to calm them down, right? Before we go into the bathroom, if we don't like those self-flushing toilets, they're everywhere, right? Or those hand dryers. So we squish the ears, or we squish everywhere, because our body is covered in tactile receptors that we need to calm down. Okay, so squishing, hugging, deep pressure, movement, heavy work, those are things that are going to calm us down. I could talk about this for hours and days on end. This is my passion. I love talking about sensory processing, how it works, how our brain works, how doing these activities calms our body down, and alerts our body